My stepbrother sold my dad's baseball cards, but he left me a voicemail bragging about it. The last thing my dad ever said to me was, "Promise me you'll protect the collection no matter what." I was sitting on the edge of his hospital bed holding his hand when he said it, and I could barely get the words out, but I promised him. He passed not long after that. Every Sunday morning, for as long as I could remember, we would sit at the kitchen table going through his baseball cards. He would hold one up and say, "This one right here is special," and tell me the story behind it. By the time I was 18, he had over 3,000 cards. After he died, I kept them at my mom's house. Then she remarried and my stepbrother Vince moved in. The first time he saw the cards, he picked one up without asking. "These are probably worth something, right?" I put a lock on the door that same night. Vince had money problems, and from day one, he acted like everything we had now belonged to him. He kept bringing up the cards at dinner, telling my mom it was selfish for me to hoard them. Then one afternoon, I stopped by and something felt wrong the second I walked in. I went upstairs and the window was wide open. Rain had pooled across the floor, soaking into 3 boxes of cards. I dropped to my knees and started pulling them out, and that is when I saw it. The very first card my dad ever gave me was sitting in a puddle of brown water. I picked it up and watched the ink run off the cardboard onto my fingers. 20 years of memories melting in my hands. I found Vince in the living room with his feet up. "What happened to the window?" He did not even look at me. "Oops, maybe next time you'll let me sell them before they're worthless." I got in his face and told him if he ever went near those cards again, he would regret it. He just smiled. At Thanksgiving, he stood up and clinked his glass. "I think we need to talk about the valuable assets in this house. Those cards belong to this family now." My aunts and uncles nodded and my mom whispered, "Maybe it's time, honey." I pushed my chair back. "Those cards were left to me by my father and I will never sell them." Vince looked me dead in the eyes. "Your father's dead, and honestly, the only reason anyone still talks about him is because of what he left behind." I walked out without another word. The next morning, I installed a deadbolt. A few days later, I heard voices upstairs. The deadbolt was pried off with a crowbar lying on the floor. Vince was inside with a stranger writing numbers in a notebook. Vince grinned. "Relax, I'm getting an appraisal." I grabbed the notebook and threw it across the room. "Get out, now." That night, I moved everything to a storage unit across town. A week later, I left for a work trip, and when I landed, there was a voicemail from Vince. "Your mom let me into your apartment and I found a receipt. Sold everything to some guy named Teddy for $800. You're welcome." What Vince did not know was that my dad had the collection appraised before he died for $147,000. I filed a police report with the voicemail and waited for the right moment. My mom hosted a family dinner, and I walked in with my phone in my pocket and the appraisal in my bag. Vince was at the head of the table with a drink in his hand. He spread his arms wide. "There he is. You finally done crying about those baseball cards?" The table laughed and I took my seat. Vince kept going all night. Then he raised his glass. "You know what I'm grateful for? That I finally got rid of that junk. Best $800 I ever made." I waited for the laughter to stop. Then I slid the appraisal across the table. "That junk was worth $147,000. Vince picked it up and his face twitched. "This is fake." I kept my voice steady. "I already filed a police report. Teddy told them everything." Vince shot up so fast his chair cracked against the wall. "You're bluffing." I held up my phone. "You left me a voicemail, Vince." I pressed play, and his voice filled the room, but it was not just the confession. At the end, Vince laughed and said, "Tell your dad I said thanks for the cash." The whole room heard it. My mom put her hand over her mouth. Vince lunged across the table trying to rip the phone from my hand, but my uncle tackled him to the floor. I looked down at him. "You're not family." Red and blue lights flashed through the window. I had called them before I walked in. Vince was arrested for felony theft that night. I cut my mom off and got most of the cards back. Dad's collection is safe now.